Welcome, folks. This is Bob with BBD News and Geopolitical Views. Lots happening in our region, but the impact of this rampaging COVID in India has just basically physically left us isolated from the world, and moreover, all the wind behind our sails that we had and the opportunity that we had. India always, misses every opportunity. We just know how to kick a gift horse in the mouth. It's just impossible. And it has to do with our DNA, with the chamchagiri, and within our administration, and no real clear-cut priorities. Right. So first, this COVID does. PM cancels France and Portugal visits. Summit with EU becomes virtual. Japanese PM cancels visit. Well, virtual summits are good, but physical summits is the key. Boris calls off visit again. UK puts India on red list. That's worse. And Britain, especially, it's really funny. The guys, just remember, while I'm all with Boris, right? But the point is, India kept those flights going from the UK, God knows why. And the rampaging strain in India, whether it's in Punjab, whether it's in Delhi, whether it's in Mumbai, is the UK variant. Right? And then you have 9 and counting UAE, Singapore shut out flyers from India, and add to that Canada. But we do have people coming to our assistance. It says France, Australia, EU extend help amid crisis, but UAE, Australia, Oman ban travel from India. Where's another unexpected source, right? Is Pakistan, right? Firstly, let's talk about this. China reiterates its COVID aid offer. France offers aid. India in touch with Russia for help. China, while people will ask, should we take their help. The problem with China is no help is without a quid pro quo with that country. That's a very calculating country. On the other hand, you have this from Pakistan. India Lives Matter goes viral in Pakistan. Help offers pour in. Karachi NGO offers services and ambulance. And I will tell you this: who would I trust more in this particular case? I know Pakistan is our big bugbear, right? Who would I trust more, the people from the China or Pakistan or Pakistanis? I would actually trust those folks from Karachi a little bit more, a lot more actually. Then you have this Indrani Bagchi, right? This is the spin that India has to worry about. And it's like, again, we're trying to create a USS Nimitz moment of shattering of trust during the 1971 war, especially the way Indrani Bagchi puts it. US may not rush inputs for vaccines. Germany rethinks pharma sector. But this is really funny, and this is what Jaishankar told us clearly, and he was right. If we continue to block exports of our vaccines, committed exports, then why would everybody rethink their policy of supplying us and setting our pharma sector up? What good is it? Because the problem with Germany, and they're rightly so, that if this happens, India cannot be a trusted partner. You have to be a trusted partner. I blame the opposition, the Aam Aadmi Party, the Congress Party, who are just trying to nail this government. They understand that in this foreign, and they've put pressure on this government. Right? But the problem lay not in any of this. It was just pure gloating by this government, which should have actually put their money where its mouth is, knowing that this is one of the biggest geopolitical opportunities we had. We let it slip because we thought, the world will come to us. The world will not come to us, folks. The world is locking us out now, right? The US may not rush input for vaccines, and there's a process of suggesting that there's a trust factor now. Another thing you would be clear. AstraZeneca supply, Covishield, which is now part of our biggest manufacturing process, is not being hit by these curbs. It's only Novavax, which has anyway not been approved in India as yet. So I'm not sure why Indrani Bagchi is running around saying, and Taranjeet in the US is fighting that we should open up export. Point of the matter is, this is reality, but I think eventually the United States has got to think for itself, right? in the end of the day. They took the gamble. They made what I call the bold decision. This is the same bold decision our leading lights of industrialists and some of our leading doctors were saying that was such a bold decision that our Prime Minister made some days ago. It should have been made last year, and he made it some days ago. Then, what do you have here? We have a situation where China is what we should be focusing on. Firstly, Australia cancels Belt and Road deals with China. Important messaging, and remember, this is actually, India should take credit for this because we were the first opposition to this BRI. It's only now, it's because of our stand, the rest of the world are being able to piggyback on that. Right? What does she have to say? She calls for fairer world order amid rivalry with the US. Fairer world order? His fairer world order means is hogging up all the space he possibly historically thinks was his, going into some BC. And look at this gratuitous statement. China hope India meets us halfway for long-term ties on boundary issues. You know what he means by halfway? I'm going to take 10 miles, give you back 5, keep the 5. That's meeting halfway. And unfortunately, our MEA mandarins have been falling for that bull for a very, very long time. What does China say again in a different tone? Put order issue at appropriate position in ties. And I'm glad what we had to say, right? We on the other hand made it very clear that it has a major. It's like the in our LAC. What he said was our envoy to China. LAC friction can't be swept under the carpet, and it can't be. What does Nirvana write? Legacy issues, differences need to be resolved through talks. Good luck to General Saab. It ain't going to happen through talks with China. Never has, never will. And that's something that he should know. Chinese, and you know that what's happening, right? Chinese PLA steps up recruitment for new unit for Tibet, and they're doing a lot more to up their capabilities. But where it's hurting, Indian solar companies on edge as Chinese vendors exit deals. But here, this should have been an opportunity, especially with all the money that's lying to come into India, as per John Kerry. But here again, you know, there's waffling around on our commitments. It's not going to work, right? Because we want an independent policy. We don't, like Javed said, we will not be pushed. We will not be pushed. We're a beggar country right now, folks. Beggar. Right? Dire warning for China. Births may fall below 10 million annually. This is something that has to really, really worry them as far as their future growth goes, right? And like I said, they're not going anywhere, right? China refuses to leave hot springs, Gogra. India should be happy what has been achieved. They're telling us we should be happy what we've achieved. What nonsense is that? Is that the kind of face this particular government now wants to show after it had the upper hand? I don't know. Then you have this. This is what concerns me. LIC appoints Paytm to handle its e-payments. Do remember, Paytm is majority owned by Alibaba. And we are giving one of our largest insurance company systems to Paytm. Unbelievable. How short-sighted. What are we thinking? In our background, Hindutva makes up, it's not only in India, it's making a comeback in Nepal too, and guess who's doing it? Died in the wool communists who have junked religion all their lives. They're making a comeback, right? Nepal's Oli uses Hindutva as key agenda for the next election, and the next big one is former Nepal King's Kumbh visit sparks political debate. Poor fellow. Shah's visit to India comes at a time when there is speculation over the fate of the KP only government. But not only that, poor fellow got COVID. And you know, our brothers, same side, two sides of the same coin, Pakistan. This has kind of missed the focus because of what's happening in India and the complete breakdown of our medical system. Is that Pakistan is in turmoil. We're pretty close to civil war. I mean, it's essentially the government forced by a extremist party is forcing the government to even discuss the expulsion of the French ambassador. Unheard of. Let's take a see what it is. Tool protests. Deadly clashes in Pakistan after Islamists take 4 cops, other hostages. A number of workers of the proscribed far-right Islamist party Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan were feared dead and several others injured in Lahore in clashes with police after the protesters tortured a DSP and took him as well as 4 other officials hostage on Sunday. Unbelievable. One of their demands is to expel the French ambassador. And today you have, I mean, even the Pakistani Prime Minister going out and suggesting that he is going to move the entire majority Muslim world, which is Indonesia, Malaysia, Turkey, to actually force the West and the United States to have blasphemy laws. Good luck to them. I guess it's in his place to try, but he's like punching way above his weight, because finally, I guess it got through him. I think they're not expelling the ambassador. A resolution seeking expulsion of French ambassador tabled in Pakistan Parliament. It was delayed to Friday, and apparently it seems it did not get approved, because I think they're seeing the reality stare them in their face, because it's not only the European Union that they're going to lose, other countries also will not basically side with them, including big countries like Bangladesh and Indonesia. Absolutely not, right? But Pakistan is something we got to worry about. The state now they are in, actually, what's happening in Afghanistan and their desire for a strategic depth is going to fall flat on their face, because it's a double-edged sword. And currently, the edge that is going to cut their throat seems to be sharper than the double edge that they want to use against us, right? But there were some moves, obviously. Jai Shankar to leave for UAE today. Qureshi already there. No clarifies if two will meet, although Emirates is said to be mediating. But it didn't happen, right? Because it became too much big news. I don't know. And Qureshi is a little bit of a dimwit, because he went there and again went on and on about some other stuff which the UAE probably didn't take lightly. India, Pak foreign ministers in UAE on separate bilateral visits. And eventually it came out, no, Jai Shankar, Qureshi meet in UAE. That's right. The contestation within Pakistan's army on India. This is the important part, and this is what we're saying. You know, when the decision was reversed, which was taken by Bajwa and the Prime Minister to import sugar and cotton from India, it was rejected. It showed you that whoever did all these Lutyens, equivalent of Lutyens Delhi in Rawalpindi, must have had the backing of 2 or 3 generals. What do you say? The problems for Bajwa and Khan is that Pakistan went so overboard in its opposition to the constitutional changes in J&K that they will find it difficult to counter the charge of a sellout, especially if that is the thinking of some senior generals. India should factor this point into its calculations as it proceeds on normalizing ties with Pakistan. It should be prepared for adventurous actions by recalcitrant Pakistani generals. Now that's the important part. Pakistan is in shambles, because just yesterday there was a bomb blast in a hotel in Quetta, and it was targeting the Chinese, because the Chinese ambassador was supposed to. They missed the target, but the message is loud and clear. Eventually, mercantilism and religiosity just don't make this, like oil and water. China will not be able to make inroads either into Afghanistan because of that, and its duplicity because of its problems it's having with the Uyghurs, or the way it's treating its Uyghurs like slaves. Similarly, Pakistan eventually, because there is it's not a unitary monster, this Taliban. There will be factions out to get to each other, and eventually, if China puts in its foot, it will be the time. If China thinks that it is immune to this, good luck to them, folks. Jai Hind.